Hinduism, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and various cultural festivals, and many food habits, and the way they are transferred from one part to another part becomes major markers in this close engagement within different political units of Southeast Asia. The other two relations are commerce and maritime connectivity. Historically, we know their significance. A close study shows that trade connectivity, religious philosophy, culture, literature, foods traveled across these countries for over the centuries. And when it comes to the common culture or the storehouse of the common culture, these two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, played a very important role. Wherever you go, Malaysia, Thailand, Java, Sumatra, Burma, wherever, we will find the footprints of these epics along with Buddhism. And this conference is an effort to revive this connectivity and make it stronger. It also synchronizes with the policy of Indian government. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji in East Asian Summit held in Manila described the influence of Ramayana as India's deep civilizational and historical relations with these countries. And along with that, UNESCO prepares a list of intangible cultural heritage elements, ICH elements. And this list contains so many items from Indian subcontinent. And these items are shared not only with the greater region of Southeast or South Asia, but also if we take into account the diaspora by the entire world. This list of UNESCO's ICH elements from Indian subcontinent include Vedic chanting, Buddhist suktas, Kalbaliya dance, Tohu, Odiyattam. These are the dance forms. Then festivals like Kumbh Mela, Durga Puja, Nowruz, then folk theatre and dance rituals, and then other performances like Ram Leela, Muddiyat, and Sankirtana. And these things unite this entire region as a cultural and literary unit. And these connections are very well known and they still exist and they are taking new forms. And they reverberate through this region. And even in our own times, in the last 100 years or so, it includes sharing of Rabindranath Tagore's music across this region, then religious trails of Buddhism, Durga Puja, then food items, spices, clothing, handloom, and so many other things. When we look at the significance of this conference, we find that education, arts, and seminars, along with the discussions, provide a good platform to inculcate a sense of cooperation and understanding, and helps in bringing along a much desired sense of friendship. And I am hopeful that this conference will open up a new chapter in understanding art, literature, philosophy, food habits, and many other themes. And the coming issues of the Journal of South Asian Studies, will provide a new platform for strengthening these ties and the understandings further. Now, I want to use this opportunity to welcome our chief guest and the inaugural speaker, Manya Shri Shankaranand ji, Sangathan Mantri, Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, who is a well-known scholar in this region. Last year, we had a conference in English and Foreign Language University, where Manya Shankaranand ji gave his talk. That talk was so much liked by people around the world that our friends in Nepal, they want to organize one special conference in this theme and want to invite Manya Shankaranand ji as the chief guest. So with these words, I would like to say thank you to all of you. And I will also like to welcome some of our friends who are part of the conference and who are collaborating with us. From Nepal side, Dr. Thum Prasad Sharma is representing Tribhuvan University Padmakanya Multiple Campus. From California Institute of Integral Studies, San Francisco, USA, Professor Dr. Debashish Banerjee ji is representing the institute. I welcome him. I also welcome Dr. Thum Prasad Sharma ji. From Bangladesh side, Professor Sharif, Principal Government Brajalal College, is representing the institute, and I welcome Professor Sharif. And I also welcome all the plenary speakers, all the paper presenters, and all our friends who have joined the session to listen to it. And I wish that this conference should emerge as a watermark and lead us to new understanding in this area. Now, I welcome our chief guest, Manya Shri Shankaranand ji, to give his inaugural speech and enlighten us on this topic. Manya Shankaranand.
My pranams to everybody. I congratulate the organizers for organizing this unique program, and the theme is art and literature. And the participants are from South Asian countries and even abroad. I'm using South Asian countries and abroad because South Asian countries are connected with their own art and literature, and we should become mad for this. Mad means music, art, and dance. If we become mad for this, then we will be connected with each other. And definitely we will reach to the ultimate goal of universal oneness. And I think this art and literature is not for lavishness or luxury. This is for just unfoldment of human being, gradual unfoldment. Because of this art, the uniqueness of art and literature is amazing and wonderful. If you surrender to this art and literature, or in such a way, different types of art and cultural activities, if you surrender yourself, definitely the gradual unfoldment will take place in each and every individual. The unfoldment means to elevating oneself to the higher level of consciousness, ultimately to the one will connect himself to the highest consciousness. That is called as Shuddha Pragya. This is the ultimate goal of a human being. It is an effective media for the realization of universal oneness. That is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole earth is one family. This should be the concept of art and culture and literature also. If we accomplish this goal of universal oneness, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole globe belongs to one family and we are one family, then our aspirations become one. Our goal becomes one. And Samvedana Shilata, the concern with all will increase, will elevate. Then the man gets connected with all the human beings, and not even human beings, and all creatures. So this art and culture and this literature, if we surrender for this, we can create the heaven in earth. Through art and culture and literature, we can create, we can evolve this earth as an heaven. The uniqueness of this art and the literature is this will fetch the righteousness and truthfulness. This art and literature is the soul of any civilization. Because of righteousness and truthfulness, this art and literature bring purity and legitimacy and honesty and humbleness in the daily life. This will make the land a heaven. So we have to connect ourselves with art and literature. If anybody, a human being, surrender himself to learn any one type of art, It may be sculpture, it may be performing art, music, dance. As such, any type of art, if we surrender himself, or as such for literature, while learning, and each and every minute and second, if we surrender himself to learn, for that the whole body should become activate. Otherwise, learning cannot happen. To learn new things, the whole body should activate. I mean, each and every cell of the body should activate it. It will bring out. The learning process brings out the positive vibrations because of the involvement of each and every cell in the whole body. You can feel while learning the positive vibrations. Tanmayata, tatparata, tallinata, leena ho jana. If we become one with that learning process, surrendering ourselves to the cause, then the whole body vibrates like anything with positive effect. That means the concentrate will shoot up to its highest level, ekagrata. By this amazing effect, the man, the human being, the learner, the seeker will accomplish his goal of life. The life becomes successful and meaningful. What is the measuring rod of successful and meaningful? The effect of positive vibration and concentration. The human will get an amazing and wonderful peace inside. Intrinsic strength will develop like anything. Ultimately, we will connect. We will able to connect ourselves to the ultimate consciousness. There is one artist named by Sheshanna. I am giving an example of Mysore of Karnataka in Bharat. He was age old, well known for Veena. The people from nearby district came and visited him. They were seeking one date to honor him. By respecting Sheshanna, Anna means brother. Sheshanna, by respecting, by honoring Sheshanna, they were feeling proud. They want to feel themselves proud by honoring him. So they went to his residence and seek one date. Then he brought out his veena, the instrument he kept on the table, and he showed the 7 strings of veena and told them by humbly that I have not acquired the knowledge of even a single string out of 7. Why do you want to honor me? If at all you want to honor, you please honor this veena, an instrument for which I have surrendered myself. This is the greatest behavior, amazing behavior. wonderful, the greatest humbleness, honesty towards, surrenderness towards the art. In Bharat, Kavi Kula Guru Kalidasa was a greatest poet and literate. By surrendering himself to the goddess Saraswati, Saraswati means the goddess of joy, goddess of knowledge. He surrendered himself. By surrendering himself to the literature, he became the king. We cannot compare with Kavi Kula Guru Kalidasa. He was a normal person. By surrendering himself, he became a great and wonderful personality. He is a unique personality in the literature world of Bharat. Not only in Bharat, in the whole globe. He is an outstanding literate. We cannot compare with Kalidasa, anybody in this globe. He is unique. In that sense, we cannot compare anybody with anybody. With nobody we can compare. So, like such examples, innumerable, infinite examples are there in Bharat. So we have to rejuvenate all these art and literature and cultural festivals. In each and every home, these should be celebrated to make next generation great with righteousness and truthfulness, inculcating all the values in life. We have to practice art and literature. We have to make this new generation, the youths and children, to surrender themselves to any type of art and literature or any cultural activities. And this art and literature is connected with the language. The beauty of Bharatiya culture is art has no such Vaikari Vani. What I am speaking is Vaikari Vani. There are 3 types of communicating skills in our ancient times. The first one is Vaikari, which I am expressing my feelings in front of you through the words. But the second is Anahata, understanding the feelings in the mind deep. I can communicate my feelings without using any words and pronouncing, without any sound. I can transmit my feelings to my students, to my friends, to the audience, without speaking, without any sound or uttering any words. I can transmit my feelings and knowledge. That is Anahata. The third one is Para. Para means again the transmitting the knowledge extremely deep. Guru is Yuva and Shishya is Vruddha. Even in that state, they both converse each other without uttering a single word through the mouth. They are transmitting the knowledge throughout the day, in and day out. This is the ultimate media of transmitting the knowledge. This is also an art. So we have different type of amazing and wonderful media of transmitting the feelings and knowledge without even conversing, without uttering a single word. This is the ancient times. I have met the persons even in this Ghora Kali Yuga, the persons doing this sadhana, we can meet them, we can discuss them, even we can learn such ultimate media of transmitting the knowledge. In these present days, in South Asian countries, we are belong to same civilization. The language we speak is connected with each other with Sanskrit. Not only in South Asian countries, in European countries, and even in American countries, the language connects us because we are infinite words similar to each other. Pronunciation is different for different ecosystems. We may pronounce yajna in Dakshina Bharat, in South India, the pronunciation differs as yajna. In North India, we are pronouncing it as yajna. So is the case in different countries of South Asia, in Myanmar, in Laos, in Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, like that. If we move from one country to other, pronunciation may be different, but the soul is same because the language is same. The source of the language is same. That is Sanskrit. Even in European, even in Spanish, in Latin, in German, we find many words relates that culture with Bharatiya culture. So we are belong to same culture and same civilization. So if we connect each other through art, literature, and culture, definitely, I will assure you, we will become one. We can experience definitely the universal oneness. The beauty of this art can be measured by 4 Siddhanta. Siddhanta means the theology. I means not policy, above the policy. That is through art and literature, and if you connect each other with these amazing media of Vaikari, Anahata, and Para, by means of art and culture and literature, we can accomplish the greatest and amazing goals in our life to make it success and meaningful. To make this globe one family, one earth. Without connecting, it is not possible. The media of connecting is this art and culture. We will accomplish the 4 Siddhantas. The one is universal oneness. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Second one is thy need is greater. not myself, not me. Thy need is greater. I mean, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. The third Siddhanta we can accomplish to make this globe a whole family. The third Siddhanta is minimum consumption of resources. We should not consume more than what I need. Minimum needs. We have to make our needs minimum. Minimum consumption of resources. This will make definitely solve this. The third Siddhanta will solve the problems of the whole globe. Garibi, the backwardness. Definitely we will solve the whole problems of all the problems of the globe by this Siddhanta of minimum consumption of resources. Thy need is greater. You might have thought of why this traffic jam happens. For this traffic jam in all the cities of the world, the main cause is me first mentality. I have to go first. I have to rush first. Me first. This me first policy creates the problems in the globe. To make this globe naraka. So thy need is greater. Not me first. Thy need is greater. Universal oneness. Thy need is greater. Minimum consumption of resources. And the fourth and ultimate Siddhanta is par excellence. Yoga karma sukhaushalam. Whatever you do the best. And what is next? After doing best, beat the best. Don't compare with anybody. No competition with anybody. If at all you want to compete with oneself. We have to compete with ourselves. What was me yesterday and what am I today? We have to compare myself with my own self. And we have to move towards excellence. Because each and every individual is unique and born potential. By using all that potentiality inside given by Almighty, we have to exhibit, we have to present that uniqueness. That should be the purpose of life. To accomplish the purpose of life, I mean understanding, experiencing the amazing potentiality within me and to use that enormous potentiality to express the uniqueness, to exhibit the uniqueness of my life. Art and literature is an effective media. So we shall all work for this art and culture and literature to disseminate the message of Bharat to the whole globe, to make this globe, this earth, one family, one aspiration, one goal, one globe, one goal. Yahi nara banna chahiye. This should be the message of this conference. One globe, and one goal: through the media, effective media of art and literature. I once again thank all of you for participating with humbleness in this unique conference. And again, I congratulate, I thank for inviting me to share my thoughts in this unique conference. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. On behalf of all the participants and the organizing team of the conference, I express my heartfelt thanks to Manya Shankarananji for enlightening us on this particular topic and inaugurating the conference. Very aptly, sir, you talked about two very important things. One is we should be mad, means we should have interest in music, art, and dance, the art forms. These art forms unite us, make us one spiritually and philosophically. And you also talked about by giving the example of the person who dedicated his life to the musical instrument Veena. So it is not our personality which is important, rather our dedication to the given field, that is important. Sir, we assure you that we all will dedicate our lives to art and literature. We will give our full dedication to Ma Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. And we are highly thankful to you for invoking us to dedicate ourselves to the field of knowledge. I also take the opportunity to thank our friends and mentors from Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal who joined the conference, who joined this session. Professor Kiran Arora, Vice Chancellor, Bhara University. Professor Vainanji, former Vice Chancellor. Professor Shivraj, former UGC member. Nitesh Kumarji from Nagpur. Professor Jitendra Sharma from Haryana Kurukshetra University. Chanchal Bhardwaj from Gurugram. Satish ji and many other members from Telangana BSM branch. And my friend, very close friend, Professor Tamil Mani from Tamil Nadu. So I thank all of you for joining this session and making it successful. So now it is time for us, I also thank all of you for joining this session, but the conference will continue. Now we move forward to another session, that is the keynote session. So first we will start with a speech by conference co-host Dr. Khum Prasad Sharma ji from Padmakanya Multiple Campus, Tribhuvan University, Nepal. So Dr. Khum Prasad Sharma ji. Khum Prasad ji, you are not audible.
Hello.
Yeah. Now you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Namaskar and good morning to you all. Respected chair of the session, chief guest Shankaranandaji from Akhil Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, who is always inspiring us in person and on this virtual OK mode. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the entire team of the Journal of South Asian Exchanges for inviting us to be a part of this virtual conference. Invited guests, paper presenters, scholars, and ladies and gentlemen. Today, I will briefly talk on the status of Nepali studies in the South Asian context. First, I shall make a brief summary of canonical literature by Nepali writers in English, and then I will make a comparison of Nepali literature in English in the Indian context and in the South Asian context, with an argument that it is high time to promote the aesthetics of Nepali epistemology that is grounded in Nepaliness with local flavor. Since this talk is based on original Nepali writings in English, so I will exclude the translations and also children's literatures that is outside the purview of this talk. Let me begin with a question. Is there a literary canon called Nepali studies in the South Asian context? My answer is yes. There is a very familiar subject to us, especially university teachers here in Nepal, because we have been working in this area as university teachers in the classroom and researchers in various academic and literary forums. I realize I do not have any fixed structure to put in the allotted time at the conference. I confess the limitation of my knowledge and time for research. However, I shall raise some arguments to show that Nepali literature in English can be heuristically and pragmatically an important component of Nepali studies in the South Asian context. When we trace back the history of Nepali English writing, it is very arduous job. Padmakanya Bahadur Rana's, the very first, the life of Sri Jang Bahadur Rana, a biography in English, is the first English work from Nepal, which was published in 1909. During the Rana regime, no common people could get as much privilege as the elite Ranas themselves in Nepal. So the page of Nepali English writing was left blank for a while. Then came Mahakavi Lakshmi Prasad Devkota, poet laureate Devkota, started writing with his full vigor and brought afresh in Nepali literature as well as in Nepali English writing. Padmakany's writing was a political biography, but it was with Devkota that started literary writing and translating in English. When we see his Tashkent speech that he gave at the Afro-Asian Writers' Conference in 1958, that well represented his motive. Later, he wrote Sakuntala in 1949, an epic in English that was based on the narrative of Mahabharata. And he wrote a number of epics, poems, and essays in English that established him as one of the foremost pioneers in the Nepalese English writing history. Devkota seems to have been heavily influenced by the waves of British Romanticism, especially romantic poets like P.B. Shelley, Wordsworth, Lord Byron. They made influence upon him. There were researchers who were also historians like Baburam Acharya and Sanskrit scholar, as many Indian scholars know, Yogi Narahari Nath. They had Nepali studies as the focus of their research with unique Nepali themes. But in later times, the historical studies in Nepal entered a new phase of research. Then a number of historians like Mahesh Chandra Regmi, Triratna Manandar, Pratyush Want, and Rajesh Gautam, among others, started their lead following the cultural studies introduced by Raymond Williams and Stuart Hall. After Mahakavi Devkota in the 1990s, Manan Madi Dixit, Ramesh Shrestha, Peter Karthak, Tek Bahadur Karki, Abhi Subedi, Padma Devkota, D.V. Gurung, Lakshmi Devi Raj Bhandari, among others, started writing in English, especially during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But Nepali writing in English gained its momentum with the publication of Samrat Upadhyay's Arresting God in Kathmandu in 2000 and Manjushri Thapa's The Tutor of History in 2001. They were followed by a group of many writers who emerged with their works in English that took over the global readership. Writers like Mani Dixit, Abhi Subedi, Sanjeev Upreti, Arun Gupta, Khem Aryal, Tim Gurung, and many more have continued the legacy. Unlike India, that has got a long history of English writing, Nepal is much a newer phenomenon at a slow pace. When I started reading English books from Indian writers, there was a hula balu of Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children, followed by a sudden outburst of a long list of masterpieces. My reading of inland English novels and Narasimha Rao's opening India to the rest of the world brought some glimpses of South Asian writing. The publication of Bikram Seth's A Suitable Boy in 1992 gave a good hit to the English readers across the globe, I believe. Then the writers started signing for publishing a book from South Asia, and Nepal was no exception. The big publication houses swarmed in India. I remember Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, a Booker Prize winner for 1997, was published at the same time. The publication of the book changed every order. So the English-speaking world started looking at South Asian English writing from a different perspective. Nepal, being close to India, followed the poetics and politics of Indian English writing that was taking the world by storm. During the 90s and the early 21st century, when my days were filled with excitement of readings like Anita Desai, Arundhati Roy, Bikram Seth, among others, reading about Nepalese writers like Khem Aryal, Manjushri Thapa, Prajol Prajoli in international magazines was a very proud movement for us. There are a number of writers writing from home and abroad. During the 1950s, Devkota was the sole writer, as we know, to start creative writing in English, which was a movement in English writing. His works in English were directly linked to Nepali modernity and were closely related to English education and English as a medium of literary production in Nepal. the context for creative writing in English was quite favorable at that time because Rabindranath Tagore, Mulk Raj Anand, Neeraj Chaudhary were his contemporaries in India. However, the context for creative writing in English was different in India than in Nepal. In India, English became its official and second language, and it had the legacy of British Raj in India. English was introduced in India by the colonial rule with a number of educational institutions that were established throughout the country. Even when the British rule ended in 1947, it left behind the language. But in contact with the native speakers of English, Devkota started Nepali writing in English and got readership in the wider world. I have closely seen how a foreign scholar like Michael Hart from the University of London, working hard in order to establish Nepali studies as a separate field of inquiry. I admire Mike's efforts to create a literature-based system of Nepali studies at the University of London. Similarly, the Center for Nepal and Asian Studies, shortly known as CINAS, as a research center of Tribhuvan University, has started working to create a center or model of Nepali study at Tribhuvan University. The late Kamal Madi Dixit also initiated by establishing Madan Pustakalaya. But today, Nepali studies has become broad-based. It covers native and foreign works and university and individual efforts. It offers a range of diverse programs to foster and deepen engagement among the universities like University of Washington, the University of Delhi, and Greater Pacific Northwest Community with Nepal, including Nepali language, on-campus courses, study abroad, and a speaker series and film screening. In conclusion, the recent development indicates that Nepali writing in English is in the process of canon formation. My observations are always twofold. First, modern world literature is overtly not about the universals. It is about the local, the indigenous, the ethnic, the vernacular, and the different. Much of the Caribbean literature that found space in the world through masters like Derek Walcott and Valerie Bloom is about their local myths and unique Caribbean experiences. Similarly, modern African literature that bloomed in the hands of master writers like Hol Soyinka and Chinua Achebe is because they focus on local rituals, indigenous culture, and music in literature. Latin American literature, when we see the heyday of Latin American literature with Marquez and Octavio Paz, it's because of an interaction between the Western tsunami and the local tree. Contemporary Chinese literature is drawing a lot of attention of the world because the Chinese literature is rooted by and large in the Chinese mythology and history. Our literature in English has either been about the universals or has been overtly critical of the past. Consequently, our past, with so much of knowledge and glory, has always been sidelined from our mainstream literature. As a literature, our mythology, our cultural glory, scriptural and philosophical poignancy, folk and ritual experiences, and indigenous Nepali epistemology has not found adequate entry into our literature. Nepali literature in English, in order to draw world's attention, should turn towards its one cultural, mythological, and indigenous space. We probably can do by reinventing our past glory by launching a romantic renaissance of Nepali version or by directing ourselves towards exploring anything which will showcase our Nepaliness. Given that the content has the Nepaliness, we foreground here writers writing originally in English should attempt to find publishers abroad. For works to be translated can make a team of experts who can select the touchstones of Nepali literature on pure merit basis without a bias, and hire professionals and capable translators to do the translations. Such works, if promoted abroad, can secure us a big and respectable space in the global literary firmament. With this, I thank you all for your patience and for your presence. Thank you. Thank you all.
So thank you, Kumsarji, for such a wonderful talk connecting India, China, Nepal, and South Asia. And here I would like to mention one thing specifically, Department of English, Brajalal College. The entire department along with students have joined this conference virtually. And I can see the department members and the students. We are highly thankful to Principal Professor Sharif, members of department, and the students for making this conference more lively and more interactive. So I'm thankful to all of you, dear friends, for joining us in this online session. So thank you very much. Now we have Professor Debashish Banerjee for the keynote address to this conference. Professor Debashish Banerjee is a Bengali scholar. He writes in English and specializes in internal yoga, Indian philosophy and psychology, art history and cultural theory. He is the Haridas Chaudhary Professor of Indian Philosophy and Cultures and the Doshi Professor of Asian Art at the California Institute of Integral Studies, San Francisco, where he also chairs the Department of East-West Psychology. Banerjee has worked on philosophy and psychology of 20th century yogi philosopher Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, as well as on the Indian artist Rabindranath Tagore, of whom he is a great grandson. He has also worked on critical post-humanism and the 20th century Indian nationalism as manifest in the Bengal Renaissance. We are lucky to have you, sir, with such a wide experience and expertise. So now I request Professor Debashish Banerjee to deliver the keynote address. Sir, now the session is over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh, and also to my young friend Thakurdas Jana, who has introduced me to you, Dr. Singh, and to this wonderful conference. And thank you for the introduction. I would like to talk today on Abanindranath Tagore and on a certain aspect of his art. I hope it will be of interest to the audience over here. This is about the kind of art that he produced towards the end of his life. The title of the talk is Abanindranath Tagore's Found Wood Relatives, Narration, Nomadic Subjectivity, and Transsubjectivity in Multimedia Rituals of Destitution and Restitution. Can I share my screen, Dr. Singh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I will just get the PowerPoint. Okay, very good. So this is a picture of Abanindranath Tagore towards the end of his life. Of course, he was quite a changeling in the sense that every photograph of his looks very different. And this is one particular period of his life when he kept a beard. Most of the others don't have a beard, but this is an interesting picture of the period when he was creating these items that I'm talking about. In 1938, Abanindranath Tagore's elder brother, Gaganendranath, died after 8 years of paralysis. In 1941, his uncle, Rabindranath, followed. Later that year, Abanindranath moved from his ancestral home, 5 Dwarkanath Tagore Lane, to a rented mansion, Gupto Nibash, in Boranagar, Kolkata. That same year, shortly after his move, his wife Suhasini Devi, his life companion for 53 years, passed away. And in a couple of years, in 1943, the house of the Jorashanko Thakurs was sold away. These changes represented an end of an era for Abanindranath, the crumbling of a communitarian manifestation related to the forces of history. It could be considered the end of what flowered as the Bengal Renaissance in regional and national history, and the end of a feudal aristocracy with the advent of the Second World War. It presaged the arrival of a new phase of modernity, that of capitalist individualism and the politics of nation states. Post-colonial nationalism may largely be thought to replicate the humanist image of the cogito, that is, the human as independent rational subject, albeit in an ethnocentric flavor. I have argued elsewhere that Abanindranath's cultural nationalism proposed an alternate dialogic idea of the nation, one in which the senses were delinked from the cogito and put into historical dialogue with one another. We see this from the very start in the calligraphic intertextuality of his Krishna Leela paintings. So this is an example of one of the Krishna Leela paintings, which were really his point of departure at the end of the 19th century. And this particular painting is called No Bihar. And you can see the title actually on top. He has written it there in Bengali. And then about half the painting is text and half of it is the painting. So the intertextuality of this painting, which is the point I'm making about the delinking of the senses, is that you have to look at the painting and you also have to read. And as you're reading, this is it looks like, you see, the visual on the visual register, the writing looks like Nastaliq Persian calligraphy or Urdu calligraphy, but actually it is in Bengali. The different paintings are actually by different poets. Some of them are by Joydev, others by other Bengali Vaishnav Padokartas. This one is Gyandev. And you see, so he explains it over there. The interesting aspect of this is that this mixing of fonts and language, some of them are in Sanskrit, puts us into an entire tradition, a historical tradition of this kind of painting. So this is the intertextuality. You are being made to engage with the historicity of this kind of tradition by the intertextuality. In his later paintings, such as the Arabian Nights series of the early 1930s, This is an example of that. Again, you see that there is the Nastaliq calligraphy on top. This is a scene where Scheherazade is convincing her father to marry her to the king. And the calligraphy here is in Urdu, and it is a street Urdu from Kolkata, where these texts were actually circulating among the popular Muslim population. Or we go further. This is in the 1930s, and then we go further to just a little bit before this period that he has moved to Baranagar, where he's writing folk plays. So his collaged manuscripts of plays such as Kuddur Jatra, this is a manuscript, and as you can see, he is cutting and pasting various modern commercial and information advertisements, etc., into these texts. And in places where if you read the text and look at the image, they make a kind of interesting sense. You're pushed into a sort of historicity, comparative historicity through this effect. His collaged manuscripts of plays such as Kuddur Jatra, this historical phenomenology is inscribed into the contemporary and the local. So you see, there is a certain kind of a way in which these legendary texts, these ancient texts, are being made to come into the modern and to the local. It should be noted that many of these texts, along with the dialogue of image and text, also reference the performative. All three works mentioned above, for example, are of this kind. The Krishna Leela paintings are each inscribed with titles and texts taken from books of Palakirtan. That's what I was showing you on top. The titles are actually not just titles of the paintings, they are specific titles that are taken from volumes of Palakirtan. So it's almost a conventional title. If you look at that title and look at the painting, it immediately, in a way, evokes the kind of kirtan that used to be done on that subject. Then the other one as well, as you saw, the Arabian Nights, the inscriptions are specifically taken from storytelling traditions, Urdu popular storytelling traditions. And this Kuddur Jatra is a manuscript for a play, so that in a way this is meant to be enacted, and at the same time the manuscript itself provides cues on what to bring into the action. If somebody could please monitor the speaker, keep mute the people who have their mics on, that would be very nice. Thank you. Can somebody mute the people who have their mics on?
Yes, Akashji, please mute the people who has mics.
Yes, I am looking who are unmuted.
The
Yes, sir,
Arabian
please
Nights
continue.
paintings, thank you. The Arabian Nights paintings are storytelling episodes inscribed with popular Urdu narrations, and the jatras are meant to be enacted. Three media, image, text, and performance, are thus engaged over a temporality that overcodes the present with the unfinished virtual memory of history. These are clearly cultural practices of postmodernism. However, even these practices appeal to an individual subject, though complicated with respect to rational agency and historical temporality. In the last phase of his life in Gupta Nibash, Abanindranath seemed to find himself in a personal and historical landscape of destitution, a loss of context and consequent loss of text and loss of subject. You see, once the context is lost, the text is lost, and even grammatically, the subject is lost. And, ontologically too, the subject in a way has no place. He had few, if any, companions from the past and experienced increasingly a sense of utilitarian abjection, the uselessness of waste. In his writings of this late period, we find him frequently using the words phala, meaning discarded, and phaltu, meaning without utility. As if in a materialization of his subjective condition, shortly before his departure from Jorashako, a little female street urchin walked uninvited into his darkened and mostly empty second-floor quarters. He welcomed her and gave her the name Phala. After moving to Boranogor, he retired his brush and spent part of the morning walking around the rented house, picking up natural and human debris or discards. He brought these to his room and spent a good deal of time inspecting them and working on them with small tools and touches of color. However, the finished products of these manipulations did not wear the looks of easily recognizable objects. Crafted from objects of nature or human artifacts that had lost their social coding, they were seldom returned to the world of existing codes and contexts. Instead, they retained their liminal ambiguity as objects of potentia waiting to be born. Like them, the artist too, his coding erased in an alienated world, waited in latency for conditions of individuation. Such conditions were always unexpected and unpredictable, and always temporary. And the individuations or SAEICs these conditions called forth, always new and always temporal. They most often included the arrival of children, such as Phala or other little people into his world. To such arrivals, Abanindranath often introduced these objects, sometimes calling them Katum Kutum and sometimes Kutum Katam. Kat translates as wood and Kutum as relative, but Katam bears also the connotations of kata or cut, as well as katamo, frame or type. Thus, relatives in wood, crafted wood relatives, or relative typologies. To these human friends or relatives, he would introduce his wooden relatives with typal names given in performative improvisations of fictioning, in which temporal ontologies involving himself, the object, and the addressee would manifest as states of aspiration or darshan. The performance over, the object, the addressee, and himself would lose their names and return to a state of potentia, awaiting new conditions for collective individuation. Rani Chando, a young girl and intimate of the family, has written a book on such objects and provided some images and descriptions of the performances in which Abanindranath mobilized them. Here, for example, is a description of her first encounter related to these relations in wood. I'm quoting from her account. Abanindranath said, "I have captured a stork today." A twinkle of laughter in his eyes, he said, "What a beautiful stork." The smile now touched his lips. He said, "Both wings outspread, he is flying an endless journey." Abanindranath stops a while and starts again. He is journeying in the blue sky. Over sun-dazzled cornfields, he is journeying. All alone, he is journeying. Laughter lights once more his face. You'll see. Abanindranath makes to lift his right hand from where it lies on his lap and retracts his gesture. Again lifted, again put back. in that raising of an arm as though the magic of stark revelation is hidden, such his pretense. Abanindranath's hand makes minor movements, and I become anxious with expectancy. Abanindranath casts a surreptitious glance into the front pocket of his Punjabi, and lifting a somber head, raises his gaze to the sky. But for me, I have clearly understood that in that front pocket is the mysterious stork that is flying in the blue sky and forever flying. I am agitated with curiosity. Moving his hand casually towards his front pocket, Abanindranath says, "Oh, so you'll see, you'll see." His hand gradually proceeding towards the pocket. "Okay, then let's show you." And once more he withdraws his hand. "No, Baba, let it be," he says, expressing raptness through both his eyes. Oh, what glory of those ears of corn in the morning sunlight, and how beautiful his call as he flies. "I'll show you, shall I show it to you?" So saying, Abanindranath in one moment in reality produces from his pocket a box. A square, flat, thin, black and white cigarette box with black stripes prevalent in those days, packing inside 10 cigarettes side by side. With the closed box in his hands, he begins smiling. "Shall I open it?" he says. "But if it flies off? Well, all right, let's open it. Caution, don't speak. It will be upset if it hears humans. See, I hope there is no one else around. The thing is not for all to see." So saying, resting the box on the flat of his left palm, "Okay, let's open it then." So, with great trepidation, he opens the lid with his right hand. He says, "Now see." A tiny stork chipped out of wood, strung on fine wire, its two ends fixed to the two ends of the box. At the center, the tiny stork on the shiny tin plate, as though against an infinite sky, he is flying alone, spreading his two wings on two sides. Abanindranath holds his left hand, which has the box with the stork, a little higher. Hear how it calls as it flies. Saying this, he begins to undulate his hand very slowly. The knots of the wire, when rocked, touching the body of the tin plate, set off a sweetly stirring reverberation. "Caw, caw." Abanindranath says, "Did you hear? And here, see how the cornfield shimmers in the sunlight. The ears of corn sway in the breeze. On the shining tin plate, the play of light and shade has made to appear paddy fields, vast stretches, infinite horizons. In that tiny black and white box, making the stork fly through the finite and the infinite, Abanindranath laughs, and I laugh." Unquote. To theorize this activity in terms of cultural production, one needs to note the inadequacy of categorizing it either as found wood sculpture, abstract expression, or performative art. The first two are static objects of display and aesthetic consumption. Even if they are forms of restitution, they code the uncoded or recode the decoded, returning the object to the humanist ontology of independent subjecthood of which it was a discard. Here instead, outside the performance, the object loses its code once more, returning to the state of destitution. The third, performative art, is mostly a critical intervention which belongs equally to the humanist ontology of independent subjects. It is only certain forms of performative art, those of participatory fictioning, that open up a genre to which these object performances of Abanindranath are more appropriate. As visual creations, these objects are potential in relation, forming abstract typologies that expressed singular qualia under specific spatiotemporal conditions. Instead of seeking a new coded subjecthood, in a new humanist ontology, Abanindranath, through these practices, held out a nomadic refusal of code, a retention of imperceptibility, waiting for local and temporal conditions for creative performances of collective individuation with the cultural discards of diasporic scattering. Such nomadic individuations hold the signal for a post-human polity of creative anarchy. However, lacking an intuition of the typologies formed by the related potentia, and hence the performances giving them singularity and individuation, they return to being discards. This is what has happened, in fact, to most remaining examples of Abanindranath's found wood relatives. Names unknown, locked in glass cabinets in museums, they have returned to the uncoded imperceptibility and destitution from which they came. I end with a few examples of Katum Kutum from Rani Chando's book. So here are a few of the images to which we have names because Rani Chando was given these objects and actually after the performances, and she noted down the names. So this one is a crocodile. This one is a cricket. This is a dog. This is a horse. This one is called Bhoirobi. Here is an actual photograph of his uncle Rabindranath in a characteristic pose. And I'm showing this there are many photographs like this in profile where he's standing with his hands behind him with a little slouch. And this is a little wooden thing called Robika, Uncle Rabindranath, in that same posture. And this one is called Robika in a boat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful talk on Rabindranath Tagore, his art. We are highly thankful to you. And I'm also thankful to you. I'm also thankful to our friends from Nepal who have joined this session. So in a way, 3 countries are actively participating in the conference. From Bangladesh, they have doing the live telecast in the department. And from Nepal, many of our friends, some of them came to India in my conference as well. They have joined. And from India, we have large number of people. And from other parts of the world, again, there are so many people. So we are highly thankful to all the people from all the corners of the world for joining the conference and making it successful. Now, I request Professor Sharif, Principal Government Brajalal College, Bangladesh, who is also the co-host of this conference, to express vote of thanks. And he can also touch upon the South Asian exchanges and theme as well, along with thanks. Sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Being one of the co-hosts of the first South Asian Exchange International Conference, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving full credit to Dr. Jai Singh, my dear brother, my handsome brother, and his team for working today's occasion a resounding success. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. I think it's a crime. So today, I take the opportunity to express my deepest sense of gratitude and appreciation to all those made this event such a resounding success. To begin, on behalf of Government Brajalal College, Khulna, Bangladesh, I would like to thank our chief guest, Sri Shankaranandaji, who has spared time from his busiest schedule to grace this event. Now I place on record our gratitude to Professor Dr. Devashish Banerjee, California Institute of Integral Study, San Francisco, USA, for his generous support for this event. His speech about Avanindranath Tagore shows his deep interest and erudition regarding Bengali art. It's really a fine speech about arts of Shilpo Guru Avanindranath Tagore, who is famous not for his artistic creation, but for his lectures and write-ups for art. What can be more important on art than Bageshwari lectures? Your encouragement has constantly taken ahead all our endeavors. I thank you for your unstinted support. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Khum Prasad Sharma, one of my best friends from Nepal, for his presence and valuable talk about the rise of Nepali as well as South Asian literature in English. So far I remember, he has mentioned the name of Mulk Raj Anand. But I think two more names should be added to this. One is Raja Rao, another is R.K. Narayan. They were called the big three once. So, my heartfelt thanks to the editor-in-chief, Dr. Jai Singh, for his valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all his effort. My evergreen dear brother. Last but not the least, I think my teachers and students, I thank my teachers and students for their presence and interest they are showing in this conference. So thank you all. Let us move to the another events. And finally, I would like to thank you again for making us a part of this event. Thank you. Thank you once again.
So